deleted TikTok and Instagram off my phone last night, I just get so easily distracted, and I always try to convince myself that the reason that I need those apps is for work, basically. I get a little bit of money from YouTube, but certainly not enough to justify being on my phone all the time on things like Instagram and TikTok where I don't make any money. It's kind of funny because before I started posting about like book related content a few years ago and writing related content, I feel like I wasn't actually as absorbed into Instagram and TikTok. And then I started posting about writing content. And like, to be totally honest, a big part of that was because I stumbled upon booktok, I guess, where people were talking about the books that I grew up reading that I thought, I know it sounds silly, but I just figured no one else really liked because they were like fantasy magic books. And I had met very few people in my life that like shared my love for those kinds of books. So then when I found booktok and the booktok community, I think it did influence me to start posting about my writing journey, because I was like, oh, like maybe people actually want to hear about your writing, because I had been writing, you know, my whole life basically, as long as I could write. But it was something that I stopped sharing fairly early on, just because I no longer felt comfortable sharing it. So it was kind of like something that I did just for myself, just in secret. And I guess, I don't know, I came across accounts on social media that loved the kind of reading and writing that I did. And I was like, maybe I can share about this. And while that journey has been wonderful, and I like wouldn't change it for the world, especially not on YouTube, I think that the way that it's made me look at TikTok and Instagram for some reason is just, it's become like unhealthy and kind of addictive for me, to be honest. I think it's because I got sucked into the trap of that a lot of writers, to be fair, actually find success through, which is the idea that, you know, all it takes is one viral video for you to land a book deal. And, you know, the idea that growing your audience on things like TikTok and Instagram will help you to get a book deal and help you sell your books if you're an indie author. But I think that what that's done is I'm just like, I consume more social media than I create now, and I don't like that. I always want my focus on social media to be creation over consumption, and that takes many different forms, but that has always been my overall goal, and I feel like I've just strayed away from that quite a bit. And I do it under this kind of lie to myself that I need to be on Instagram and TikTok looking for the latest trends and seeing what other people are posting about, and it's almost like I get FOMO. I don't want to miss the other ways that books are blowing up and that writers are getting recognition. But if all I'm doing is consuming and I'm never creating, and then when I do create, it's heavily influenced by all of the consumption that I've been doing, then when I do create, it's not going to be authentic to myself anymore anyways. And yet I still keep scrolling because they're just so good at making the algorithms and convincing you that you need it and keeping you sucked in. So I just keep on scrolling, even though I rarely post and I rarely share content. And when I do share content, half of it is like based on trends that are in social media. And while that can be a good way to grow, I think that if you're someone like me that gets burnt out easily and has this need to be authentic, then chasing growth from trends is just never going to work. Like, you can try as hard as you want, and I have, but it's never going to work because you're never going to be able to sustain that. And I think that people can tell when you're not being authentic. I think this is also why I always gravitate back towards YouTube. It's because I love long form storytelling, and I feel like with YouTube, like, I don't really follow trends on YouTube. Sometimes I slip into a little bit of like, oh, well, everyone's doing this kind of video, and I'll do one of those videos. But I feel like even on YouTube, I always make it my own, you know? It's okay with taking inspiration from other content as long as you make it authentically yours and you make the final product something that reflects you specifically rather than whatever creator you were inspired by. And I don't know, I've been, telling stories on YouTube for the past 10 years, and the focus has always been digging deeper within myself to tell stories in a way that make people happy to be alive, if that makes sense, and that give people hope and inspire people. And I just kind of feel like I've shifted away from that quite a bit. And I feel like the influence that I feel from things like TikTok and Instagram have started to affect how I'm feeling about YouTube as well, because I'm feeling just overall burnt out when it comes to the content creation space. And it's such a contradictory thing, because the more time I spend consuming content about books and writing, the less love and attention and work actually gets put into my own writing, which is never how I want it to be. That is the last thing that I want. I think I even spoke about this when I first started posting about writing, was that I seem to have this habit of, when you try to monetize something that you really love and you try to share it and promote it like you do with things on social media, that this thing inevitably happens where you start to lose the love for that. It's very easy to start to lose the little spark that was there for you in the first place with those things before you had external pressure being put on them that you subject yourself to when you put them on social media. And it's really important for me to not do that and to not allow that to happen to my writing, because I am just a storyteller through and through, and I write everything from poetry to songs to long form novels, fiction novels, fantasy novels, to screenplays for TV shows and movies, to just little prose and journal entries that I want to share as part of a little mini documentary series that I want to be working on, but I just haven't had the energy because I'm so absorbed by absorbing content. I just really need to protect my space, I think, which is why last night I spontaneously and impulsively just deleted TikTok and Instagram off my phone. And I really want to stick to that, because I've tried to do that multiple times now and I haven't stuck to it. And that, that feels like a failure. And it feels like I'm not doing a good job of protecting my sacred creative energy. And I don't want to do that anymore. So maybe I'll upload this video and try and get some accountability. It's not going to be a permanent thing. I think I'm going to try and, keep those apps off of my phone for a month or so. I'm not worried about being able to access them on desktop, because I never get sucked in on desktop the way that I do on my phone. So I haven't deleted them fully, and I'm sure there'll be a couple posts at some point, but I'm going to do it through my desktop, and I'm only going to post when I feel authentically inspired to post something that's coming from me, not external influences. I think I was also slightly inspired to do this because I applied to a Vipassana course. Vipassana is a type of meditation where it's 10 days and you're silent, you don't talk. You're also not allowed music or your phone or reading or exercise beyond walking. It's days full of silent meditation, basically, and learning about what that means and to become a bit more comfortable with the inner workings of you as a person when you're not distracted by everything around you. So I'm going through this application process right now, and I'm thinking if I get into that, how is it going to affect me the way that I've been overly consuming media online? I think that would be one of the hardest parts for me. Actually, not having music is going to be a wild thing. But I felt inspired to at least start to try and get a handle on the social media addiction, because that's basically what it is at this point. Even now, I woke up this morning and I wanted to check TikTok and Instagram. I grabbed my phone to look for those apps and I was like, oh yeah, this is the reason that I got rid of them last night. And now I've gone for a walk in the garden with my morning coffee. I even got a little movement in, and I feel far better than if I had just woken up and jumped right on Instagram. So if any of this resonates with you, then I encourage you to kind of do some self-reflecting, maybe do a little journal prompt on it. There's also this fun video from, I think it's from ASAP Science, I'll leave it linked down below, that talks about phone addiction and how you can kind of tell if you have phone addiction. Watch at your own risk. I think it can be a little bit shocking just how easy it is to be addicted to your phone, but I enjoyed the video. I thought it was wonderful. There have been these other things going on, like I got kind of a job opportunity. I'm still going through the interview process, but it's so aligned to me as far as like meaningful real world documentary style storytelling goes. And I want this job. Like I'm really working for this right now to try and get this, plus applying to this Vipassana course. And then when I get back to Vancouver, I'm gonna start hosting like cold plunge and sauna cycling, like contrast therapy. And I'm still on the fence about it, but I'm very close to signing up for a breathwork course, or the first part of a breathwork course right now. And I was just thinking, like, these things seem to be aligning. Something in my gut is telling me that these things are going to happen and that they are going to align, or some form of them. They're either going to happen or they're going to be a catalyst for something else. And I don't know how to explain it, but I can just feel it. And that felt like a little bit of a wake-up call, because I was like, what if I check my screen time. I spend so much time on social media consuming and not creating, and not even being that inspired by the things that I see. I feel like when I was younger, I used to go on Tumblr, and I'd go on Tumblr for like, half an hour, but I would get off Tumblr because I would see something that inspired me, like some painting that someone made, poetry, type of photography that they tried, and I would get off the app because I'd be like, I want to go try that. And I never do that with TikTok or Instagram. And maybe it's just because the algorithms are so much more advanced these days, but I just kept thinking, like, if these things start to align, and it feels like they're going to, I want to be ready, and I want to be focused and open and feeling creative when they do align. And I think if I'm sucked into social media all the time, it's going to make those things even more difficult for me to, actually take the opportunity. Those are my morning thoughts. I think I'll post this video just because I'm sure there's other people who feel the same way. I think I need some accountability beyond just myself. So I'll post this and we'll see how good of a job I do at staying off social media. But it could take a couple tries of deleting and then re-downloading and then deleting again to kind of like break the habit, I guess. And I think I need to give myself grace for that as well. But yeah, I don't know. Thanks for watching if you did this lovely morning phone video. I'm gonna finish my coffee and keep walking through the garden.